Hello and welcome to this session on some major educational commissions during the colonial period. Though the role of education in socio-economic development has been recognized since olden times, it is only during the 50s of the present century that it has been identified as an important instrument of national development. Educational system in India has developed in its own way in different historical, geographical, economic and social conditions and in its own national style. Educational reforms have always been a part of education system in India. The formal education reforms and systems have to be understood appropriately to get the spirit of education systems in the country. Moreover, while going through all these reforms in education, we must realize the fact that no education system can be frozen into a mold. It would need periodic revisions and change to enable the educated to grapple with social, economic and technological changes. Let us go through some of the major education commissions set up during the colonial period. Bendick Resolution of 1835. The origin of the present system of education, which is prevalent in this country today, can be traced to the beginning of the 19th century. Education in India was then governed by the Board of Directors of East India Company. Lord Macaulay was made the chief of the public instruction by the then Governor William Bendick, who was known for his reformist attitude. The British government conducted surveys of the then prevalent systems of education with a view to reorganizing education to suit the needs of the times. Controversies existed as to whether Oriental learning and science should be spread through the medium of Sanskrit and Arabic or Western sciences, and literature be spread through English as the medium of instruction. Alas, it was decided by the British government through approving Macaulay's means to promote European literature and science among the natives of India in the medium of English. The governor considered the decision to be a landmark in the development of educational system in India. The resolution promised to supply government with English educated Indian servants. The resolution was later published. This was the first declaration of the British which determined aims, content, medium of instruction and promotion of Western science and literature. Thus, education in colonial India responded to the needs of the alien administration rather than of those of socio-economic development. Adams Report. William Adam was appointed by Governor Bendick as commissioner to survey the educational conditions of Bengal between 1835 and 1838. He took help from Rajaram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and others in this regard. Adams submitted 3 reports at different times. His educational policies were free from politics. He believed in mass education and opposed infiltration theory of education. He believed in the promotion of indigenous schools to make the national educational plan a success. Adam recommended that the existing native education institutions from the highest to the lowest were the fittest means to be employed for raising and improving the character of the people. Adam prepared a plan in which it was suggested that as an experimental measure, some districts must be selected in the first instance where a thorough inquiry must be instituted in the field of education. It was further suggested that books in indigenous languages should be published in each district to examine the progress of education. Institutions should be set up for training teachers and proper textbooks should be provided to them to educate the students. Macaulay opposed Adams' plan and criticized it. Adams' plan was regarded as impractical and in disgust Adam gave his resignation. Thus, an opportunity to expand mass education was dropped. Thomson Plan. Though Adams' plan was rejected, it had far reaching effects in northwestern provinces of Bengal. In 1842, the northwestern provinces were constituted and were separated from Bengal. In 1843, James Thomson was appointed as Lieutenant Governor of the province. He planned to multiply and improve village schools and distribute elementary books suited to the wants of the students. Therefore, he is regarded as the father of elementary education in India. In 1845, he asked all the district collectors to supply detailed information about the then existing condition of education in their respective districts. The inquiry revealed a depressed state of education in the state. So, Thomson submitted a plan for organizing vernacular education. Thomson wanted primary education to be available to common people. With the help of his collectors of Mathura, he opened new school in each halqa of villages. Such an idea was caught up by the neighboring districts of Agra, Bareilly, Etah, Manipur and Shahjahanpur. Wood's Dispatch 1954. By 1853, a number of problems concerning education in the country had risen which required immediate solution. Dalhousie realized that the government had neglected the education for the masses. Moreover, vernacular education had declined. The village schools refused to take up the responsibility of educating the mass. There were lack of teachers, schoolhouses and no printed books. Thus, Dalhousie thought of a scheme to make arrangement for the mass education of the primary education in vernacular languages. So, a committee was constituted under the presidency of Sir Charles Wood. He prepared a scheme on education policy and sent it to India, which was known as the Wood's Dispatch of 1954. The committee considered the issues of aims of education, medium of instruction, education of masses versus classes and many other aspects of education in depth. This helped in setting the 40-year-old controversy and provided education system a definite structure, base and shape. Wood's Dispatch emphasized on the education of the masses and announced the duty and responsibility of the government to provide education for the people of India. It disagreed on the downward filtration theory that provided education for the upper classes of the society alone. The elementary education in vernacular languages was considered as a welfare scheme under the government. The Wood's Dispatch gave importance to teaching of English, but at the same time it also stressed on the teaching of Indian languages. The Wood's Dispatch recommended the sanction of a grant-in-aid system in the Indian educational system. It also recommended that schools were to be established by the government and those primary schools built under private efforts were to be given government grants. Grants were given to the schools for increasing the salaries of teachers, construction of school buildings, granting scholarships to students, improving conditions of libraries, opening of science department, etc. The commission laid stress on policy of religious neutrality and declared that there should be no religious instruction in education institutions. The dispatch also laid importance on technical, professional and women education and made provisions for award of scholarship for proficiency in studies to encourage meritorious students. The Wood's Dispatch for the first time recommended the creation of a Department of Public Instruction in each of the 5 provinces of Bengal, Bombay, Madras, the Punjab and the northwestern provinces. The dispatch suggested the establishment of universities in 3 major towns of Calcutta, Bombay and Madras, which was to be modelled after the London University. The Chancellor, Vice Chancellor and other members were to be nominated by the government. On the whole, the Wood's Dispatch was a complete scheme with certain innovative aspects. Hunter Commission. The administration of India by East India Company came to an end in 1857. With implementation of Wood's Dispatch, the responsibility of education passed from British Company to the British Crown. The periodic revision of British education policy led to the appointment of a commission under William Hunter in 1882. The commission was appointed by Lord Ripon to give comprehensive recommendations on education in India. The Hunter Commission had Indian educationists as its members and showed a marked shift towards Indianization of education. The commission made valuable recommendations for the development of primary education. It suggested that the primary education should be considered as instruction of the masses and should be imparted in the medium of mother tongue. The commission was against religious education and suggested attention to education of Muslims and backward classes of society. It suggested that the control of primary education should be handed over to district and municipal boards, and that the local boards should deal with the whole system of primary education as regards to finance, management and expansion. With regard to secondary education, the commission was of the view that the government should gradually withdraw itself from the field of secondary education and it should be entrusted to private enterprises. The government should also give grants in aid for improvement of secondary education. With regard to vocational and technical education, the commission recommended that in the particular class of high schools there should be two avenues, one leading to the entrance examination of the university and the other of a more practical character intended for vocational and practical pursuits. The Hunter Commission recommended that normal schools should be established for the training of teachers. The recommendations were partially implemented and there was a slow growth in the number of secondary schools in the country. Indian Universities Commission of 1902. The recommendations of the Hunter Commission led to a rapid expansion of higher education during the next 2 decades, which gave rise to many problems in the field of education. This necessitated the appointment of a commission on January 27, 1902 called the Universities Commission. Lord Curzon was the first person to appoint a commission on university education. Actually, it was the policy of Lord Curzon that marked the beginning of a new era in the history of primary education in India. He was the one who tried to remove traditionalism in our primary education system and introduced subjects like agriculture and physical education in the primary school curriculum. Lord Curzon wanted to control the functioning of the universities and thereby break the autonomy of the universities. The University Commission was appointed under the chairmanship of Sir Thomas Raleigh. It was set up to inquire into the condition and prospects of the universities established in British India and recommend measures to elevate the standard of university teaching and to promote the advancement of learning. The commission recommended that the jurisdiction of each university should be fixed and new universities should not be established. Moreover, the constitution of the universities should be changed to make provisions for teaching. The undergraduate and postgraduate curricula should be introduced and the standard of examinations should be improved. Since there was no representation of any Indian in this commission, the policy did not find favor with the Indian public. On the basis of the recommendations of the Indian Universities Commission of 1902, the Indian Universities Act of 1904 passed on March 21st. The Calcutta University Commission. In 1917, the Government of India appointed a commission to study and report on the problems of Calcutta University. The Calcutta University Commission was also known as the Sadler Commission after the name of its chairman, Dr. Michael E. Sadler. The commission reviewed the entire field from school education to university education. It found out that secondary and higher education are interlinked and recommended that improvement of secondary education was necessary for improvement of university education. The commission discussed the main weaknesses of higher education in Bengal. Although it dealt with the Calcutta University only, the problem that it studied were more or less common to the other Indian universities also. The commission made recommendations in regard to university, secondary, women and professional education. The Sadler Commission recommended supply of necessary funds for improvement of secondary education as it lacked appropriate educational tools, equipment, teachers, etc. The Commission rightly realized necessity of teachers training, without which it is not possible to improve the standard of secondary education. It was also suggested that the medium of instruction in these schools should be in the mother tongue. The establishment of a board of secondary and intermediate education in each province was another suggestion. This board should be an autonomous body and be free from official interferences. The Commission insisted that the Calcutta University should be made a real teaching university. The Sargent Report. The Central Advisory Board of Education submitted a comprehensive report on post-war educational development called the Sargent Report, which was set up in 1914. The committee visualized a system of universal, compulsory and free education for all boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 14. The Commission suggested that the secondary course should extend over 6 years, the age of admission after primary education should be 11 and selection for secondary course should be unbiased and effective. It recommended that only those students should be sent to secondary schools who are well above the average ability and have exceptional aptitude for higher studies. The Hartog Committee. Auxiliary Committee of the Indian Statutory Commission, known as the Hartog Committee, after its chairman Sir Philip Hartog was appointed in 1929. The commission was appointed to review the position of education in the country. Hartog Committee made a thorough study of the primary education in India and realized that primary education did not make much progress in the years. It found out that primary education is more a rural problem than an urban one. The committee found that the villagers were poor, illiterate and conservative and unwilling to send their children to schools. The Hartog Committee noted that there were many inaccessible and economically backward areas where primary education had not been encouraged. The committee suggested for the standard of teachers to be increased. The curriculum of primary schools also needs to be liberalized. It recommended efforts to be made to reduce the large extent of stagnation and wastage in the system of education. The Hartog Committee's survey of secondary education recommended introduction of more diverse curriculum in the middle vernacular schools and improvement of training of secondary teachers. The committee gave some important suggestions for the university education as well. The committee recommended the establishment of affiliated universities along with the unitary, residential and teaching universities, keeping in view the great demand for higher education in India. The Sarpu Committee. The Sarpu Committee was appointed by the Government of Uttar Pradesh in 1934. It was set up to inquire into the causes of unemployment in UP. The commission came with the conclusion that the then system of education commonly prepared pupils only for examinations and degrees and not for employment. The committee suggested diversified courses to be introduced in the secondary education, one of which leads to the university degree. The intermediate stage should be abolished and the secondary stage should be extended by 1 year. The Sarpu Committee suggested that vocational training and education should begin after the lower secondary stage and that the degree course at the university should extend over a period of 3 years. The Abbott-Wood Report. In pursuance of the resolution of 1935 of the Central Advisory Board of Education, 2 expert advisors, Messrs. Abbott and Wood, were invited in 1936. They were asked to advise the government on certain problems of education, particularly on vocational education. These two persons toured in Punjab, Delhi and UP and prepared a report on vocational education within 4 months. The committee suggested a complete hierarchy of vocational institutions parallel with the hierarchy of institutions imparting general education. It is because of the recommendations of this commission that technical institutions called the Polytechnic came into existence. The Abbottwood report suggested the organization of vocational education according to the needs of various vocational areas. Vocational education should be considered at par with literature and science and should be considered as complementary to other types of education was another suggestion. Zakir Hussain Committee report. The Congress Ministry assumed responsibility of administration in 7 major provinces of India and concentrated their attention on educational reforms in the year 1937. Under the presidency of Mahatma Gandhi, an All India National Education Conference was summoned at Wardha. The following were the main resolutions adopted by the committee. Free and compulsory education is to be provided for 7 years on a nationwide scale. Medium of instruction should be in mother tongue. The process of education throughout this period should center around some form of manual and productive work, and it is expected that this system of education will be gradually able to cover the remuneration of teachers. Later, the conference appointed a committee under Dr. Zakir Hussain, principal of the Jamia Millia Islamia, Delhi. The committee submitted its report on December 2nd, 1937. The scheme of education suggested by this committee is popularly known as the Wardha scheme. The Wardha scheme of education occupies a unique place in the field of elementary education in India. The framers of the Wardha scheme deliberately confined their proposals to village education. The committee therefore desired that it should first be introduced in rural areas and should not be extended to urban areas. The main features of the scheme were the following. The entire education is to be imparted through some industry or vocation. A basic craft is to serve as the center of instruction. The scheme is to be self-supporting to the extent of covering teachers' salaries and making students self-supporting, and manual labor is a must so that every individual may learn to earn his living. Conclusion. Education in a country has to be in accordance with the needs and requirements of the individuals, the society and ultimately the nation. The social, political and economic conditions of a country matters a lot, and a lot can be done through education to improve these. In spite of various commissions and committees and panels appointed by the government from time to time, Indian education is still at the crossroads. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far. Education system in India has developed in its own way in different historical, geographical, economic and social conditions and in its own national style. Educational reforms have always been a part of education system in India. It would need periodic revisions and changes to enable the educated to grapple with social, economic and technological changes. The origin of the present system of education, which is prevalent in this country today, can be traced to the beginning of the 19th century. Many education commissions and committees were constituted in India in the field of education before independence. The chapter briefly discusses the major committees before independence and their recommendations. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. Write briefly on William Bentinck's resolution. What were the recommendations of the Woods Dispatch? What were the recommendations of the Zakir Hussain Committee? When was the Calcutta University Commission set up? What were its recommendations? Briefly write on the Abbott-Woods report. Now, you can go through the reference books listed here. Current Trends in Indian Education, written by Kumar A. and published by Ashish Publishing House, New Delhi in the year 2004. Women's Education in India, written by Agarwal SP and Agarwal JC, published by Concept Publishing Company, New Delhi in 1994. History of Indian Education System, written by Singh Y.K. and published by APH Publishing Corporation, New Delhi in the year 2007. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Have a nice day.